Welcome, everyone. Good Friday? It's a really good Friday. So this is my 5th event with you guys. So it's like, I'm feeling like Saturday Night Live. I need a jacket. Hey, Jeff Scott. Yeah. Where's my orange jacket, man?
Get you an orange printed ASUG jacket.
Today we're going to talk a little bit more about AI. You guys were not voting all positive about AI during that survey, so hopefully I can change your perspective. But the number one thing I'd like to, well, first of all, let me give away a prize. You guys know I give away prizes, right? So really quick, who said this? Got to yell it. Ferris Bueller. So Scott Sleeper in the back is actually playing Vanna White for me today. And your prize, by the way, it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so we have golf umbrellas from SAP, plus socks. So that way, if you're going to a trade show instead, we give you both. So, but yeah, life is moving kind of fast, and I think that's incredibly true when it comes to AI, right? And so, as always, if I talk about the future, it's still subject to change until it becomes generally available. 18 months ago, I was on this stage talking to you guys about Gen AI. Was anybody here for that one? You remember? Yeah, there's someone in the back, right? It's amazing how far we've come in just 18 months. 18 months ago, I was talking about how Gen AI was even created. Basically, it's a zillion-dollar complete the blanks machine is what it really is. And we talked about things that could go wrong. I think we all have read this story about Air Canada having to do rebates even though they weren't part of their policy because ChatGPT came up with a new policy for them. Or somebody hacked a chatbot and they bought a Chevy Tahoe for $1, right? If you missed that moment, there's actually a recording. So if you go to btpai.com and you want the fundamentals about Gen AI, kind of a gentle introduction to AI, that's still available, but it's kind of interesting when you watch that video. The world has moved an incredibly long distance in a short amount of time. And so the question I'd like to ask you is a little bit more forward-facing. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's the next industrial revolution? Show of hands, who thinks it is? Amazing. So we all generally are agreeing that it is a step change in humanity, basically. It's a step change in what we can do. Now, getting from point A to point B will take a little time. It took decades for America to get electricity in every home. This is going to be the fastest revolution of all time. It's happening incredibly quickly. It's happening much faster than we wired coax and fiber to everybody's houses. So this is going to move really quick. But yes, if you look at the Industrial Revolution, which is kind of the things surrounded in pink, those are the three. The fourth one is really pink, right? I think it's going to change everything. In fact, let me ask you this question. Do you think it's going to change the way we interrelate with each other? Yeah, I think it's going to change humanity and how we actually go about doing things, right? So luckily for me, Doug McMillan agrees with me. Or maybe I agree with him, but he was in the news just recently. And he was talking about the fact that even though he's got 2.2 million employees, the largest employer outside of the federal government, he actually believes AI is going to change the world for every single one of his employees. The rest of this quote was, if there is a job that isn't going to change, I haven't found it yet. They've been playing around with AI a lot. And so whether it's telling the person where to go for an out-of-stock shelf or where they cleaned up on aisle 4, every single job is going to be impacted, not just kind of our white-collar jobs that I think all of us are, knowledge workers that we are. That's our world, and everybody's saying that's going to get affected. And so, really quick, how many people use Gen AI for a personal reason this week? Everybody did. All right, let's go one step further. What about for business productivity, like rewriting an email? Everybody's still in. All right, last question. What about part of a business process that you're associated with at work? That's quite a bit still. So it is changing the world. But yeah, personal productivity and helping us with communications and summaries of meetings, that's absolutely why when Jeff showed that chart that showed everybody's using Microsoft Copilot, for example. Yeah, it's in that area. and using it for a business process to help you with your accounts payable or something still hasn't come as far along as fast, right? So, little honesty moment. What do you think? Might your job go away? Show of hands. Who thinks their job's going to go away because of Gen AI? Okay, forget about that. Look at the person you're sitting next to. Might their job go away the next year because of Gen AI? What do you think? Nobody's committing. No, you're absolutely right. And by the way, that's actually what Doug McMillan said. He thinks that jobs aren't going to go away, but they're going to change. Everybody's going to have a new tool or tools that are going to help them accomplish amazing things, right? So to figure this out, understanding what knowledge work really is, because that's the area that Gen AI is most aimed at, is kind of important. Turns out McKinsey and Microsoft both have done surveys around this, trying to break down what's knowledge work. And there's really three things that come to the top of the list of what we do. We do a lot of tasks, a lot of processes. Once in a while, we find a problem with the process and we try to fix it. They rejected my expense statements again. Dang, right? And then we share a lot of information. We go to a lot of meetings. We sit on a lot of Zoom calls. But then there's other things that are part of our job, like solving a brand new problem. Once in a while, we're asked to figure out, what do we not see here? What's the white space? What are we trying to figure out that we've never seen before? And then once in a while, Toros, you probably have this moment, Toros is drinking a glass of wine and he gets inspired, right? So he gets this moment where he has true ingenuity and creativity. But that doesn't happen all that often in our jobs. So the survey that Microsoft and McKinsey did basically identified what looks like a pyramid. Below that black line, right, that's about 80% of the time. We spend 80% of our time doing things like sharing meetings, sending emails, reading emails, again, right? And 20% of our time's in this area that I'm calling white space problem solving. Now, if you think about it, the three at the bottom are the things that Gen AI does an amazingly good job with. It's repetitive tasks. It's summarizing a meeting. That's the exact stuff that Gen AI is going to target in your job. I can tell you that right now. Just a matter of time. The less predictable your job is, so let's say you own a bunch of franchises. Her job's not very predictable. Something new every single day, right, Heather? Yeah. But other folks that are kind of, we show up, we drink our coffee, we do a lot of the same things every single day, yeah, our job's going to change quite a bit. So this is what the future is going to look like. We're going to spend a lot more of our time, 80% of our time, in these tasks at the top, and only 20% on the things that are truly repetitive. And I'm not sure that everybody's up for this knowledge work environment. If you think about it, these are the kind of days when you get home, you collapse into the couch with your glass of wine, and you're tired, right? Because your brain is completely taxed. You are working on the things that you've never seen before. So it's going to change the way we work. Yeah, we may wind up working less hours because Gen AI is helping us, but the hours we're going to work are probably going to be pretty tiring. Here's the good news, though. By the way, this is for another prize. What was this guy's name in the movie? Lundberg. Who said it? There we go. Scott Sleeper. We got a winner. Chicken dinner, right? If you haven't seen the movie Office Space, by the way, well worth watching. It's probably 1999-ish, but it is a great movie. Anyway. So here's where we're at in the AI revolution. We're only at stage 3 of the Tour de France. We have a very long way to go, but we can see all the potential, and I think that's the key message here. Jamie Dimon is the CEO of JP Morgan, and he's been on record saying, look, this is going to change every single part of my bank. Largest bank in America, by the way, right? He thinks it's going to be as transformative as electricity itself. They've got millions and millions, billions actually, in money dedicated to becoming an AI-powered bank. I happen to have a front seat to this because my daughter happens to work at JP Morgan. I ask her, how many times did you use it for work this week? And she's like 50, 60, 70. She's using it 3 hours a day. It's amazing. But that's exactly what's happening. I think it's going to happen at every one of our companies sooner or later. In Texas, we do a lot of oil, right? Aramco, largest oil company on the planet, Saudi Arabia, they're on record. This is their CEO, and he's talking about the things that they've already done with AI. And it's totaling roughly $4 billion, and they're just getting started. These are the things that they're doing. If you look at the fine print, things like seismic analysis. Why does seismic meet AI really well? Well, it's repetitive, painful work, right? That's the kind of stuff that AI is going to do great. Here's our problem. People are already talking about it, but it's actually gargantuan. Every one of these companies is talking about investing in big data centers, but we're going to have a huge power shortage. If you compare the number of gigawatts that are coming online in China versus the number of gigawatts coming online in the United States, it's like 3 to 1. We are way behind in being able to power the AI revolution. And so, quick little recap from 18 months ago. How did the Gen AI Big Bang happen? Kind of came down to an interesting paper written by these 8 people. Most of them were at Google at the time. They've since gone everywhere else. That paper, which is talking about the transformer, changed the model of machine learning. If you think about machine learning in the past, it was kind of like you're walking through a dark cave with a flashlight, and you're reading words in that cave one at a time, and you're trying to remember everything. That's how machine learning used to work. Transformer keeps everything else in context, so that entire query gets resubmitted as it builds the answer. That's kind of like standing at the top of the mountain with a telescope, looking around at all the context. It changed how things are done. The good news was, at that time, money was incredibly cheap. How many people have a mortgage under 3%? Yeah, I mean, exactly. At that same time, companies were getting better rates than us. So they were able to build out data centers with GPUs at an amazing rate. The compute itself got a lot better. There's a reason NVIDIA stock is up as much as it is. Mind-boggling, right? It also started as an open source pursuit. So lots and lots of people got involved. We had a lot of data for training. Data quadrupled between 2010 and 2020, which helped us with the training. And lastly, that turned into a lot of commoditization. So now all of a sudden, all these different models, right now, most queries that I send to Claude versus OpenAI come back with roughly the same answers. So the commodity factor is happening really, really quick. AI has become too big to fail. There's no doubt in my mind. If you look at just the big 4 companies in investing, it's a huge number. But if you start expanding that just a little bit to all the usual suspects, $700 billion was committed before the Stargate Oracle project comes along. What do you think the most expensive project that the United States has ever done was? Highway system. Did somebody say it? Winner, winner. Scott Sleeper sleeping on his phone over there. Put your hand up one more time. There it is. Absolutely. The highway system in today's dollars was $600 billion. Whereas these few companies, like a dozen or less, are investing more than the United States invested in the entire highway system. And I've driven across Kansas. I know what that looks like. Anyway, right now it's going to $1.2 trillion when you look at the most recent statements by OpenAI and Oracle. So it just keeps growing with the whole Stargate thing, right? Interestingly enough, and I don't know if you guys have read these articles, but this is really kind of interesting stuff. Everybody's in the pursuit of this idea of AGI, general intelligence, artificial general intelligence, right? But they're saying this is actually going to be a struggle between countries. What they're talking about is if one country gets there first, every other country in the world is going to be disadvantaged really, really quickly because there's no catching up. So they're talking about people doing preemptive strikes on data centers. Kind of sobering and different. But anyway, moving right along from that happy moment. So all this potential, but in general, 4 out of 5 enterprise POCs are not making it to production. Why do you think that is? It's a 4-letter word. Data. Who said data? It wasn't for a prize, but we appreciate your support. No. Yeah, data's the real problem, and we see the great potential of the general LLMs. But until it has data from your company, it becomes tricky, right? So establishing this great data fabric is incredibly important when it comes to using AI for your business. And it's not just data. The truth is, you actually have to have a deep understanding of the business process itself. You have to understand the data in the context of what you're trying to accomplish. And lastly, it's got to be integrated, and not anybody in this room is running one SAP system for their entire company. There's lots of different systems, whether you're using ServiceNow or Salesforce or this for that, right? So how do you make all that stuff work together in a cohesive way matters a lot. But data fabric and AI are absolutely inseparable. You got to have your data right to be able to get to the end result. And so, SAP has kind of redone the way we look at the world, and we've made amazing progress in just the last year. We have applications at the bottom. It's always been our business. How do we make your business process run well? But we've separated data as an incredibly important layer so that we can power the AI at the top. We launched Business Data Cloud early this year. And basically what we did is we combined, we had great tools, okay? In 2024, we were selling you the tools to be able to create your own data cloud. But what we discovered is if we give you the tool and we give you the tool, one of you is going to use those tools better than the other. So we decided, why don't we do that work for all our customers? All our customers are going to be advantaged if we do the data engineering that it takes to create data products, right? We then realized we had our own weaknesses. And so we partnered with the best vendors in the business, Databricks, Calibra, Confluent, DataRobot, to make sure that the solution we were providing was complete. It let us create data products from SAP data and SAP applications that are well-defined, have all the metadata around them. It let us deliver intelligent apps that when we deliver a working capital app to you, it's absolutely ready to use the next day. It absolutely helps us deliver this data fabric and make sure that the data stays fresh. Ultimately, it's the right path forward for BW systems, and it combines really the best of SAP and the best of Databricks to get it done. Interestingly enough, last week we just announced in Vegas that we now have the same partnership or a very similar partnership with Google, BigQuery. And so I can kind of see the future without, this is just a guess by Bob. This is not official of SAP, but I suspect we're going to partner with every major data player to make sure that no matter which tool you use, you're going to have great capabilities because SAP is going to deliver you quality data. Last spring in Las Colinas, I talked a little bit about BDC, and I saw there were some brand new people in the room, so if you want to watch that event, bdcbob.com is actually what gives you the 20-minute summary on what we're doing with data. The next step is that we're talking a lot, we've been talking about this for several years, but it's incredibly important. How do you get the clean core with BTP, right? The whole idea is that your data's got to be real time. So this is what we're doing with Enterprise Mesh. AI is going to help us with making sure that your extensions are modular. We have other tools like Signavio and automation tools, LeanIX, WalkMe, all these things come together to make sure that, the part that Jeff was talking about where adoption matters a lot on what the people do, right? WalkMe is a key component to make sure that we can get this technology in use by everybody in your business. You got to overcome the complexity if you're going to accelerate everything. If you've missed BTP sessions, which are some of the other episodes that I had with you guys, they're available as videos as well. So those are the links to that. But ultimately, what I'm trying to talk to you about today is AI. How do we get you the relevant, reliable AI? By the way, the rest of the presentation is going to be all about this, but I'm going to give you the quick highlight. So if you want to know where it's going, right? Knowledge graph matters a lot. That's what gets rid of data that's hallucinated around your SAP data. Agentic AI is going to be incredibly important because it's going to plug right into the business processes that are running your business. We're releasing lots and lots of embedded capabilities so that you can get started quickly. Custom AI is incredibly important because that's how you get the maximum value of what you're trying to accomplish. Joule, which is our chatbot that's incredibly smart, it's kind of going to be the front end to all that stuff. And ultimately, we see Joule orchestrating the agents. This was a slide from the previous session, but where's all this going? It's going to a much more automated ERP. A lot of things that are happening, and you're just managing the exceptions. So, a great example of somebody that used these tools ahead of BDC to get all this done was Messer. They had a real problem. COVID hit. They didn't have a good view of their business, right? They needed to get oxygen to the right hospital bed at the right time to save somebody's life. So they absolutely got busy. They used all the same tools that are now part of BDC. But now we're doing the work to make sure that everything's going to work for you. And when I say we, I mean we and our business partners, right? We're providing that base level capability, but our business partners are going to be creating intelligent apps. They're going to be helping you get that implemented. So from our perspective, it's the SAP ecosystem. But ultimately, we're trying to achieve this idea of great data integrity, a single version of the truth. And Messer's been, at Sapphire and lots of places. David's talked about this. You guys might have seen Aldo. Aldo's another person at Messer that talks about this a lot. But an incredibly effective solution. When you get your data right, your business starts running better. I've talked about this story once before, but I think it's incredibly important. Heineken wanted to deliver data to their knowledge workers. They were going to do that via Copilot alone. They discovered that the data wasn't right. They used our tools to knit the data together behind the scenes. Ultimately, with BTP Generative AI Hub, because it was a custom solution for them, they created Ask Hoppy. It's in use by over 20,000 people now at this point, so it's amazing, right? We've heard this phrase, data's the new oil. If you don't refine it, it's not all that useful. We look at refining the data to make sure that you get the right answer, which is kind of an interesting thing. You're like, oh, that should be simple. But yeah, if you ask a question, you better get an accurate answer. Jeff pointed out, you ask it to do math, it doesn't always give you the right answer. You got to make sure that it's using tools behind the scenes to get the right answer and automating, which was at the top of your survey list. What's your main use for AI? Automation was at the top of your list. Absolutely. AI is going to help you automate things better than ever before. Our path to AI first has these 5 steps. Embedded is absolutely number 1. It's how you vault off the carrier. For an umbrella and socks. Kind of funny combination. What jet is this? F-18, did I hear? Did you win it? Did you win one already, though? Did you win one already? Okay, does anybody else think an F-18? Because he can't win twice. There we go, he was thinking about it. It is the F-18. You get the catapult to value with embedded. If you want to see our embedded applications, they're on the Discovery Center at sap.com/disco. This gentleman right there. Anyway. If you go to the Discovery Center, you're going to find our business AI features. I did this like 2 months ago. It shows 200. I just went there this morning. It's over 300. It is growing very, very fast. But this is where you go and discover the embedded features that are going to help you succeed. It works with our acquisition from a couple years ago called Just Ask. It gives you the ability to query your analytical data, and it interprets whatever you say in natural language to give you those results. Ultimately, you got to have the knowledge graph to make sure that your answers are going to be reliable. That's the key here. So here's an example. I mean, people are like, I don't understand why an LLM wouldn't work. Okay, so let's say you ask a question like this. Will Big E Corp pay its invoice on time? Is that something Claude could answer for you? No, it needs to know about your business, right? And so without the current customer data smushed together with the SAP knowledge, that's an incredibly hard answer to find out that, yeah, 98% chance we can count on that cash. We're also working on a foundation model. We just submitted a paper to some open consortium. We're presenting on it, but we're like in the top 5% of papers submitted. They're now going to be considered for awards. What we're really trying to do is come up with an LLM. I say LLM, but I think it's the wrong. Scott's shaking his head. No, it's not an LLM. It's the ability to predict values within tables. That's something that LLMs can't do very well. Our knowledge graph is not a small piece of work. Nearly 500,000 tables, 80,000 CDS views. You want to use this to ground your answers. Joule is an incredibly important component, right? It's going to be the front end of this entire thing. When you think of it in terms of the military, it's kind of like the air boss that's keeping track of everything else that's happening in your business, no matter where you are within a work process. So to me, it's kind of the air boss of the enterprise systems, right? It does different things, and it works across all our portfolio. So if you're up to date, one of those reasons to upgrade to the latest and greatest, no doubt about it, right? We're delivering all our AI with the newest stuff possible. But it'll help you with finance, it'll help you with supply chain, it'll help you with creating a new requisition for a person you want to hire. It'll give you information for analytics. So that front end is going to be able to do lots and lots of different things. The patterns that it supports are informational, what are our compensation methods, navigational, where can I find this, transactional, can you adjust this invoice, right? Analytical, what were my sales in Argentina? I mean, that kind of basic idea, right? I'm a little bit behind schedule. I'm going to blame Jeff Scott for that, by the way. But otherwise, I would have gone through this. But this is an idea where I could ask, what are our compensation methods? Follow it up, how much did we pay out in commissions? It'll jump from topic to topic to topic. And as long as you're authorized to see that data, you'll be able to get it. I believe every one of us, I asked this question. I don't have a Mentimeter, so it's not very sophisticated. But I asked this question. Are you working on AI in your company? Less than 30%-ish. Okay? Why not? Why would you leave that to that one department over there in the corner when you've got the business processes running on SAP? You can absolutely be the hero of your company. We're delivering hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different AI scenarios, right? If you think about our progress, we've committed to over 400 use cases by the end of the year. We've got amazing tools. Some of these have free trial for like a year, right? But the idea that you can, I think, Sanjay, what's the free date on Joule for developers? September 2026. You can actually use that tool till September 2026 and not pay a penny. Why not? It's helping. It's helping with ABAP. It's helping with everything, right? By the way, if you have any questions, that's Sanjay Sood. He's on my team. He's an amazing guy. He'll tell you all about Joule for consultants and Joule for developers. Even too much, but anyway. AI Foundation has been ready for a long time. We've been delivering productive use cases for well over a year at this point. We got Copilot integration. I just wanted to show this really, really quick, but people are saving great money with Joule for consultants, right? It has 250 million lines of ABAP code, and it's not the ancient ABAP code that wasn't compliant with our current APIs, right? We're making sure that it's got the freshest, newest stuff, so you're using best practices as you're doing ABAP. You know, I wanted to highlight this, but does your company use Copilot today? Everybody? Virtually everybody? Yeah. Well, Joule now connects to Copilot. So why in the world would you not take advantage of that? Here's an example. It's very bright up here, but Anurag, are you here? Stand up, Anurag. Okay, he's presenting later today at 2 o'clock, by the way. One of the smartest guys in the entire country when it comes to Joule and using AI within finance. So please go to his session. A, he's amazing. B, he pays me $20 whenever I call his name out. Yeah, I get an umbrella. But this is his topic, right? Here is what the finance department does. And if you click, here's all the embedded routines that we're making part of finance. So his middle name's finance, by the way, AI finance. We'll give you both. You have 2 middle names. But yeah, absolutely go to Anurag's session. So how do you find which ones to activate for your business? Well, we realized that we need a little help for that. So there's lots of different ways. But that last one is actually incredibly, if you engage with your SAP team, they can help you find the use cases that matter for your business the most. One of my favorite topics was Sanjay. He could definitely help you with this as well. But how do you use AI as part of your business process is kind of a big deal. We do that through AI Foundation and BTP. And we've got lots of stories. I think I used this one once before, but AMD had a problem, right? They were using, their chips are in high demand. They fall behind schedule. They had to check all over their ERP system and their supply chain systems to figure out why your shipment's delayed, Heather. I know you want more AI chips, right? Yeah. They worked with our app house to envision how that's going to work. They rolled it out incredibly quickly. The POC proved that they could take a 30-minute process and take it down to less than 2 minutes. And ultimately, they put it into production. What a great story, right? Agents is where the world is going. There's no doubt in my mind that it's going to change the business world because agents can adjust to not just a repetitive condition, but conditions that are a little bit different every single day. And how often do we face that? Almost every single day, right? The expectations, no doubt, are high, but in SAP's perspective, we're going to be delivering thousands of agents before it's over. It's all about becoming part of your business process because there's a huge chasm between personal productivity and what we can do for actual business process. Constellation Brands is an example. It's not perfectly agentic, but it's close, right? They ship a lot of beer. A lot of beer gets damaged every week. It's a big manual process to try to figure that out. With cameras, with submitting it to the insurance to try to get paid back, all that stuff. They streamlined it by using existing cameras and pretty smart AI technology to get that done, visual AI, in fact. And ultimately, they're now looking for other ways to use it, but there's no doubt this is a great example of what could become agentic. It can notice the damage, it can send the insurance claim, it could get the money back for you, and you're not even, or maybe you're clicking yes after reviewing it, right? So the way I look at it is what we're really after is EBIT AI, or EBITDA AI, right? We're trying to deliver business results with AI. So what's an agent and what makes it different? Well, it plans the steps that it's going to do. It can use tools like mathematical tools to not get the math wrong for Jeff Scott, right? It can reflect on what it's doing. It can do the steps of the plan, and if it doesn't solve the problem well, it can learn from its own mistakes. So it's kind of cool. Why now? Because all these different components are coming together and helping get that done. Ultimately, I think the two words to remember are the ones at the top, either autonomous or semi-autonomous. That's a huge difference when it comes to what agents can do. It's not just a matter of sending in a query, please rewrite this email for me, and it comes back with an answer. It can notice when things happen, right? Joule is going to be above all this. It's going to be able to pick on the supply chain agent or the human resources agent and assemble the answer. Here's an example where the agent noticed that there's a customer complaint on email, right? And it's able to try to figure out what's the best resolution. It looks at what the invoice was and why the invoice didn't match what the customer expected. It then can go over to Joule and you can say, hey, what were the resolution ideas for this? You can then pick your options. It can create the email that goes to the customer. It can adjust your finances on your end. It can make sure it all happens. This process, which is shown in just a very fast 30 seconds, would normally have taken somebody probably half a cup of coffee, 30 minutes. It's now down to a minute and a half. Just double check it and go, right? We're on this journey, in my opinion, toward AGI agents. These first couple of steps took a really long time till we got to this moment where we suddenly have LLMs that understand visual, they understand audio, they understand text, and they can now well work together, right? We're at this moment in time, but where are we going? Agents are going to replicate themselves and create new agents for special opportunities. That's only a couple of years away. And ultimately, when we get to this, I don't think they're going to look like Terminators. They're going to look more like minions that are helping us get our jobs done. We're also working heavily on how do we operate our agents with a lot of other people that are in your enterprise. So let's say Salesforce has an agent. Our agent should be able to talk to Salesforce and vice versa. Why SAP for AI? We understand the business. It's built on the right data. It's secure by design. We secure your financials for Wall Street. There's a reason that you should be able to trust us for the rest of the data. Heather, you're leaning in like I'm out of time. Am I out of time? All right. Moving right along. Last point. If you're not adaptable, you're going to have a hard time taking advantage of agents because we're boldly going where no one's gone before. We're kind of trying to measure between trust, can we trust the data, and fear of missing out. But I think one of the most important things to talk about is societal thresholds. It's not just about the technology. Everybody saw elevators as a great advancement. Nobody wanted to ride them back in 1900, right? They thought they were a death trap. Now we ride elevators that look like this. For the last prize, by the way, what building is this? Crickets? All right, second chance. What building is this one? This is the glass elevator, the tallest glass elevator in North America. Looking down. Anybody got this one? CN Tower in Toronto. Did anybody get it? Oh, y'all. This is today's elevator. How many people have ridden in a Waymo? No driver. Less than 20% of the building. We don't trust it yet, but if it crashes less than humans do, why wouldn't we? The answer is we have no tolerance for machines crashing, but we have a lot of tolerance for humans crashing. Here's the real problem. Will liability legislation support the fact that you can use a Waymo, and if it crashes once in a while, that's okay, it's less than humans? Right now, not so much. People are fighting for voters over this. We've got to adapt to change. There's no doubt in my mind. What do you guys think? Can you afford to wait, or do you got to go? Yes, we got to go now on AI. What do you think? 75%. I love it. All right. the key benefits, what you'll see in my thing. By the way, this presentation, if you want to share it with your friends and neighbors, is going to ultimately be posted here at ebitdaai.com. It's not there yet. Quick takeaways from today. If you want to move the needle on your business process AI, things have to work well together. We're all in. Use our stuff. You're going to be a hero of your company. It's a great opportunity to be a hero, right? Agentic AI is the perfect fit when you think about it for business processes. Ultimately, you got to combine it with BTP and BDC if you don't want to build a lot of technical debt. Here's all the websites for all the individual topics. Jeff already brought this up, but please register for TechEd. If you can't go, the virtual sessions are still going to be amazing. And lastly, I was trying to get an autoresponder to send you the deck. It didn't work out. So if you connect to me on LinkedIn, send me a one-line note saying I want the deck. I will send you a link to the deck, but I had an autoresponder moment today. So thank you.